not so hot today, so we came up the road to a you-pick strawberry farm near us to try to get some strawberries to make some jam out of and to eat.
I think Grady's eating the most.
Yeah,
And
Grady's eaten the most so far. Emily has picked the most. And Isaac is the dirtiest.
There's a whole lot of strawberries here. It only took me like 10 minutes to pick a gallon bucket full of strawberries. I picked 2 whole buckets by myself.
Let me see what you got. Ain't they pretty?
They are.
Good job.
I like these. I like the darker ones, are sweeter.
Uh-huh. What are you doing? You're getting wet.
It was right creaking here. One of those were leaking.
So we got back home with our strawberries and we're about to make some strawberry jam. I've got one batch going in the canner over there already, and I'm going to start on the second one now. The first thing that I do is I pick out any stems and pick off the green parts, and then we're going to wash the strawberries. We picked these just in time because when we got home it started raining and it hasn't stopped since. You can buy any kind of fancy tool to do this with, but I just use a spoon. That works just fine. The recipe calls for 5 cups of crushed up strawberries, and I found that about a gallon of strawberries makes about 5 cups. It's okay to use fruit that's a little bit green on the tip because that'll actually help your jam to set up better. And you don't want to use overly ripe fruit or you'll end up with a soft jelly or jam. Alright, that looks like enough to make 5 cups of strawberries once I crush them up. So I'm going to go wash them now, and I put mine in a food processor. You can use a blender, a food processor, a potato masher, you can use your hands, whatever you need to do just to crush them up. Alright, that looks good. That's 5 cups. I'm going to put the recipe in the description, that way you can write it down and you don't have to listen to me say it. So that's 5 cups of strawberries. The next thing is I use this low or no sugar needed pectin so that I can cut the sugar in the recipe by half. I use 3 cups of sugar in this recipe, and the original recipe calls for 6. So with this pectin you can use honey or a less amount of sugar or no sugar at all if you wanted to. So the next step is going to be to put in 3 tablespoons of this, mix it into your strawberries. Now bring the strawberries and the pectin up to a boil, and it really helps if you have measured out all of your ingredients first. So I usually try to measure everything out ahead of time, that way I can just quickly put in the ingredients when they're supposed to go in. This is at a full boil, so I'm going to dump in all the sugar at one time and stir it up. had to get a bigger pot with this second batch. On the first batch I realized that my pot was too full, and as this cooks it'll bubble up and overflow and make a huge mess if your pot's not big enough. So now I'm just stirring to mix in these clumps of sugar, and then I'm going to bring it back up to a boil and cook it for a few minutes, probably about 2 or 3 minutes, until the temperature reaches 220 degrees Fahrenheit. This is what I mean about it foaming and bubbling up as it's cooking. So I would start off with at least twice as big a pot as you think you'll need, just to make sure. This is almost to the top, but it's not quite boiling over yet. I'm going to let it keep going for a few minutes and then check the temperature. It's been cooking 3 minutes and it's about 218 degrees, so I'm going to let it keep going. When the jam reaches 220 degrees, pour into sterilized jars with a 1/4 inch of headspace. And process in a water bath canner for 10 minutes. Thank you for coming along with us today. We'll see you again next time.